It's time for Tuesday Night Live Chat with Brian S. Red and John Young. Hey, Brian, we're live now. So we are just about ready for our second show tonight, but I don't know if Brian stepped away from his computer or where he's at, so we'll hang out here and wait for him. You probably noticed in the intro that we have a little segment in there talking about what's coming up here in 2 weeks from last night. We've got our DJ and TV virtual training night coming up. We've done a couple of those so far. Basically, the third Monday of the month is what we've been kind of pointing or scheduling to be that night. And what we're going to be doing is we've had one session each night of those nights where we had our headliner basically coming in and doing an educational talk. This time we're going to be having 6. So we've got 5. We're going to be starting at 8 o'clock Eastern, and we're going to go to about 10 o'clock Eastern. The idea, we're going to have 6 of those. So we're going to have, Jim Cerrone, Rachel Lynch, Jonathan Simmons, Stacey Hawk Carroll, and Jason Jani are going to be kind of the featured. And then we're going to be coming in with our headliner for the night, which is Mike Walter. And they're going to be doing their thing. Brian, you're not on yet because I've got to switch. I've got to get things set. So they'll be able to hear you, but they won't be able to see you because I didn't select the window.
Huh. Well, that's not my fault then.
No, it's yeah, that's right. Yeah, you see, Brian's been here all along, and you guys just weren't able to see him because I didn't click to move him over into. Okay, here we are. Now you're with us.
Been waiting.
Excellent. So that'll be coming up on March 15th. And what's going to be kind of cool about this event is not only do we have the 2 hour of education, but we've got some exhibit halls, some virtual exhibit halls, rooms, Zoom rooms that are going to be, different sponsors are going to have a window where they're going to be doing a little presentation about what some of their new gear. You're going to be seeing some new products that night that you haven't seen elsewhere. And that'll be happening on March 15th. So kind of plan to the evening out, or as far as to keep that kind of open, because there might be a window where you can go and watch a little presentation on some new gear you might have interest in. And we're going to try to have those happening just ahead of the 8 o'clock Eastern show. So that'll probably like from 6 until 8 is kind of the idea of the exhibitors to present their things. And then 8 to 10 will be the DJ training. The kind of theme for the night is going to be basically getting back into the game, getting yourself ready for your upcoming wedding and prom season. So March 15th, there'll be more information coming out in emails and such. Look for that as we go. So getting yourself ready for good evening, Brian.
Hello. How are you?
I am doing well, doing very well. So I decided a topic for tonight.
Yes.
I titled tonight's show, I Want to Be a DJ When I Grow Up. And the reason with the discussion I wanted to have on this is that there's a lot of people out there who are looking at the DJ industry and saying, hey, that's something I want to do. I love music. I love this. I will love that. And I wanted to kind of have kind of a discussion of somebody who's wanting to start out. How do they start out today? Because we started out how we did way back then. But today it's a little bit different, and the process could be completely different than what you and I experienced.
Well, I think everybody does it different. I mean, you did it differently than I did it. So, I don't know. I mean, why do you want to get into this? I think it's the first question. And from there, maybe we can start giving them some more, we can start giving them more direction from there, I guess. Mm-hmm. I've talked to a lot of people who really enjoy music. I've talked to people who really enjoy the equipment part of it. They really enjoy the lighting design part of it. Some people really like to hear themselves talk. They like to... Well, I said that in a real kind of snarly way. A lot of people enjoy giving presentations and kind of being the center of attention in that regard. Other people would rather be the person behind the curtain and do it in a more technical way. So I think it kind of depends on which direction they'd like to go, if that makes any sense.
So let's just take a couple of those apart. Somebody comes up and says, Brian, I just absolutely love music. I'm a huge fan of music. I want to be a DJ. I'm gonna throw out, I don't think those two are compatible completely.
Not always. I think not only do you need to be into music, but I think you also need, if that's the direction you're going, if you're going the music direction, not only do you need to be into music, but you need to have empathy for others and what they enjoy. That is the key.
And to differentiate between having empathy and not having empathy, and kind of describe that, because I think this is a huge area that a lot of people don't think about, and they find
Right.
themselves in year 2 and year 3 and wondering what in the world's happening.
Sure. I mean, I guess the best way for me to break it down into even more layman's terms would be just to maybe have an idea of generally what other people enjoy listening to, not just yourself. So if you look at somebody like John, if I was doing a party for John, I know John, so I have a little bit of an advantage here, but I would definitely try to squeeze in some Huey Lewis in the News because I know that's his joint. So I'm going to play some of that for him because I know John likes that. That's me having empathy for John. That's not me going there and deciding to play what I feel like John should be listening to or what I feel like John should like. I'm actually playing music John enjoys. So to the best of my ability, I am catering to a client, which would be John, or catering to the guest of honor or whoever happens to be in front of me and playing for them instead of just playing what I want to hear, what I feel like John should be listening to, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like that with any group of people. It's like that with your grandparents or your nieces and nephews or your siblings or the people down the street and the people who aren't like you. I mean, honestly, John, how often do you play music that you really enjoy at events?
Very seldom. And there's the biggest thing is when you started, we had our collection of music, and it was probably music that we loved. And
Yeah.
then we got out into the real world and found out that, okay, so what I loved and what I like to play at home when I'm, playing pool with my friends, or if I'm out, shooting baskets in the backyard, whatever it is, what I play for myself and what I will be playing for others is two different sets of music.
Do you find it really exciting when you get to drop a track that you really like in an event?
There are events where I want the last song, I'm going to end at 11 o'clock, and I'm going to play one more song, and it's going to be one that I pick. My whole night is made by playing Let's Go Crazy by Prince as that song, the last
Right.
song. And,
Right.
it's like the whole night was just kind of okay, here's YMCA again. There's Brown Eyed Girl again. Oh, can we scoot those boogies? Sure we can. Woo! And then there's that one moment where it's like, this is cool.
I've done events before where sometimes things are going really well. Like it's a really good party. And you actually, can't do wrong at this point. They just love you. Whatever you play, they're going to enjoy it. And I just get selfish. And I play something because I just want to play it. And it feels like I'm just getting away with murder. Because I really had no other reason to play the song other than I wanted to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew I could get away with it, so I do it. So yeah, there's that aspect of it. But really, it's not about just enjoying music. It's not about just liking what you like. It's about knowing a lot about music and about kind of having empathy for others and playing to them. And that's one part of it. I don't think that most people get into DJing for that. Do you, John?
I think there was a time, and I think for some people they do, that there was, it was that I've got a collection of music and I love music, and I know everyone says my music collection is the greatest one ever, so I'm going to be the most awesome DJ. I think we get into that, and as Mike mentions here in the chat, is Mike's got a love for music, but I don't always love the music I have to play at events for whatever reason.
Right.
That could be. I don't think that's why most people have gotten into it today, as opposed to our generation. I think in some cases, the creativity side of it, which there was a little creativity going. Jimmy talks about things that they used to do. When he was growing up, and he take an old hubcap off, and took the antenna from the car and made it on his vinyl, and he made this thing happen. I don't know whatever it is.
Right, some Jimmy thing.
Yeah, Jimmy's thing. But there was creativity there. But for the majority of DJs, there wasn't that type of creativity going on at that time. It was really just kind of a playback situation. So it was the music selection that was the thing. And there was a lot of us who were like, my music selection is going to be way better than every other DJ's music selection because I know what's good music.
I think I'm a music savant. I believe
I would
this.
say that, yeah.
And I didn't think I was for a long time. I thought I was pretty much what a DJ was. And there's little things that happen to you in your life. You're like, oh, okay, maybe I guess. When Stevie's mom and I split up, that was like the beginning of 2000, and I started listening to all kinds of stuff, and I started getting really interested in music that was coming out in Europe, and stuff in English, like British stuff and stuff from Australia, like real kind of deep stuff that we weren't really getting here in the States. And I used to play the stuff in my car. That's if you were in my car or you heard different music than you heard anywhere else, no matter where you were, my car was a unique place. And it was all new music too. It wasn't like this old stuff I was digging up. It was new stuff. And every year I would make kind of an annual, I called it. It was my annual. It was about my travels, or it was about what I'd heard, or maybe I went to a bar with some friends and heard a song. I saw a pretty girl dancing and it just stuck with me, whatever it was. It was mostly new music, old and new. And the first version I made of it, I didn't like the way I ended it. So it was like I made a mix, but I didn't like how I ended the mix. So it got thrown in the backseat of the car, and I made another one, and it was perfect. Well, I remember my boss, who was the used car manager or whatever he was, he said, "Look, I got a car. I've got nothing to listen to. The antenna's broke. There's a CD player. Do you have anything?" I'm like, "Well, you just take this." And about a week later, he said, "Man, I can't get that CD out of the stereo." I said, "Oh, man, it's broken." He says, No, you don't understand. I can't press eject. It's too good. What the hell is that? I've never heard that stuff. It's amazing. My wife loves it. My kids love it. I love it. There's everything on there. You've got salsa. You've got pop. You've got techno. You've got mellow stuff. You've got what is this? So my tastes are kind of weird like that, but I'm not normal, and I know that, and I have to kind of have empathy for other DJs because they're not all thinking like me. No one's thinking like me. Most of the DJs that I talk to on a daily, it seems like their joint is more about equipment
and transitioning, as David mentions, to the tech side or the gear side.
I call them DJ Shiny Things. Because that's what turns them on. I mean, if you put the new Rain this or that, or the new Pioneer this or that, or the ADJ this, or the Chauvet that in front of them, they lose it. That's what turns them on. That's cool. I just don't always know if DJ is the best career choice for you. Maybe it's tech. Maybe it's DJ. But, tech could be a route you could go too.
Yeah, there's many options if you're into that, because there's lighting design, and we talked to some younger people. We've had some on some of the shows over the years where it's been somebody who's coming in there and saying, "Hey, I really like lighting, and this is what I want to do." And you've talked to a couple of these young guys as I have, and then sometimes they find themselves in the DJ realm and doing things in that world.
Sometimes, I mean, like, okay, not last week, but the week before that, I had the first gig I've had since August of last year, and it was a lighting gig. I didn't DJ a lick. I didn't pick a song. I didn't say anything on a microphone. I had nothing to do with it. I just lit the room. That was my job. So that is a job that exists. So if you're into that, you can do that as a specialty thing. You don't necessarily have to be a DJ about it. So I'm taking your question and turning it a little bit on its head, and I'm asking the question, are you sure you really want to be a DJ? Are you sure this is what you're looking for? Because there are other avenues to pursue for some of these interests that some people have. It's not to discourage them from being a DJ, but maybe there's other things you could be doing that you might find more fulfilling, depending on what your interests are.
And I think there, even within the DJ field, if there's some people who, you mentioned the Rain one or the Pioneer, whatever, if a person gets their their validation from taking gear like that and using it to the highest level of its ability, of its capability. Maybe instead of being a mobile DJ who's doing weddings, you know, at VFWs throughout the upper Midwest, the going to the EDM type circuit or something to that effect, where you're doing something above and beyond, where your abilities and your passion can be utilized.
Even if you're not performing. I mean, just the
Yeah.
setup or just the design of it could be a thing. There's plenty of that. During civilian times, there's plenty of that. So I don't know. I think another group of people may really enjoy the. I was just thinking about this today. Are they DJs or are they more like carnival workers? Because some people really like photo booth and bouncy houses and, you know, those add-ons.
Yeah,
They really like that. And I thought it was odd when they first started talking about that kind of stuff at DJ conferences. Hey, photo booth. I'm like, well, hey, what does that have to do with anything we do? So, well, it's a service you can provide. Like, I know I could provide it. I could be a caterer too, but I don't want to be a caterer. I want to be a DJ. So why am I looking at this other service? But some people really enjoy just offering different activities. Doesn't necessarily have to be dancing, but they like the organization part of it.
Right.
And you know, some of those people, maybe your joint is planner or coordinator. Maybe that's something you could do. My daughter does it. She started her own event company last year. And although we've had this thing going on, she's had some pretty successful events and she's gotten paid for it. And she's already making a profit with her investment. So they're doing weddings. They haven't done any quinceañeras yet. They've done weddings. And they did a gender reveal and they did a bridal shower. So again, a weird year, but she's getting business. She's at that age too. She's 23. So everybody she knows has got something cooking.
Something going up. Yeah, coming up.
You were that DJ right around that time too, weren't you? When all of your young friends were getting married and starting their lives out.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And then everybody wants, oh, well, yeah, of course, John. We went to school with him. He's the guy to call. So you had all this business. Every time somebody said, hey, I'm getting married, you think you're getting a wedding invite, but you're not. You're getting a job proposition.
Yeah.
That was for me for 5 years.
Yeah. During that time when that all of your connections
Or more. So maybe there's a lot of different things to think about. And is DJ really what you want to do? Which part of this are you interested in? Which part turns you on? I think some people get into it as a DJ, but they're really, really more interested in the technical part or really more interested in the coordination part. And they don't feel so fulfilled, you know. But there are other options today. You don't have to just be a DJ to scratch that itch, I guess.
And you mentioned call it an itch, but that getting a controller, getting a really cool controller, like the was it the Flex that Pioneer came out with? Was that the one?
I've been paying attention.
Pioneer came out with one of them late last year, but it was really designed for either a person who really wanted to look cool on Twitch. Is really what it was designed for.
Oh, okay.
That one. So if you were bedroom DJ type person but wanted to look and play at a higher level, this was a controller for you. I think there's a lot of people that like that tech side. They like to be able to control them and put the music that they like together. I think there's an audience, or not an audience, but I think there's going to be a group of people here in the next 5 years that enjoy that world and will create an incredible studio situation. And they're never going to see the light of day when it comes to performing outside of that room. And
right. There's nothing wrong with that. They've always had it. There's always been hobby DJs.
Yeah. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. It's just I think the acceptance. And one of the things is that how much money, you've got all this gear. Great. Do you make a lot of money with it? Those types of stigmas there that if you've got it, you've got to do something with it. It's like, no, not really. You can go and have these things and do these things. If you love to DJ, but you don't like people, no one says you have to go out and do this thing. You can have another job or make money however you need to do. But
sure.
to go and have to follow the mold of being the wedding guy who dresses up in a tuxedo and is making announcements and introducing the bridal party and playing YMCA 4 times a night because grandma loves it. You got to do it again.
By the way, if you're wearing a tuxedo in 2021, how's it going back there in 1995?
Yeah, cummerbunds are great.
How's the weather?
Cummerbunds.
It's been a while since we've had to do that.
Yeah, my shoes are so shiny that I can look up my own skirt. That's how it is. That's how it is.
At the yacht club that I play during civilian times, my brother-in-law's brother is a member of that club, and I hadn't seen him in years. My brother-in-law passed away 20 years ago, but we've become friends again, reacquainted. He was always into like sound and mixing bands and things, way back, in the 80s. That was his big thing. And the big one he used to tour with Bobby V. He was his sound guy.
Right out of St. Cloud here.
Yeah. So yeah. And I think he just recently passed, didn't he? Not too long ago?
Yeah, I think so. Not too long ago.
Yeah. Well, he was Bobby V's sound guy way back. So, he would tour with them and he provided PA for him and stuff. And it's funny because before I started doing the yacht club stuff, he would do it. Now, he's not a DJ, but he has a PA system. So it was a way for him to take his PA system out to make some money. Mm-hmm. Some people fall into DJing that way. I call them accidental DJs. Yeah. They weren't really trying to be a DJ, but it just worked out that here you are. I'm kind of an accidental DJ in a roundabout sort of way as well. But some people pursue it specifically to DJ and buy the equipment and get involved with the weddings and parties and quinceañeras and things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think so. We've got the people, you like to play with the gear, and that can bring you to the DJ. The music side of it can bring you to it. I've heard a couple, not many over the years, that have gotten into being a mobile DJ for the money because they either had a business plan, purchased a business plan, or came up with a way to make it a very profitable thing. Yeah. In my time and of meeting and going and connecting with DJs, so that's putting us about 35 years now. Three people that I can say that they went into it to make money. I mean, everyone wants to make money with it. I'm not saying that. But they went in and said, I can put a business plan together. I can run a company and I can treat it as a real business that will make money. And basically then I'm not working the business, I'm working on the business and other people are making money for me. Mm-hmm. So the money side of it, is that a driver for today's people wanting to get into it? Or is it a detriment?
Well, it's a bit like saying you can make a lot of money being a rapper. I mean, Jay-Z certainly has. But, every other kid in Milwaukee isn't. So it was Mr. Miyagi. You either do karate yes or you do karate no. It's one or the other. You do karate so just like grape. And once you start investing in equipment, you're in the middle there because you've got, the investment going and you need to do something with it, or you end up paying to work, which is unfortunately what most DJs I see do. I don't see many DJs turn profit. More DJs than not are just spending money on this. It's kind of like people who buy guitars. They're not all rock stars. They just buy them. They haven't made a dime on them. They're just sitting there, or they just play them and enjoy them or try to make money with them, but they don't. So yeah, you're right. There aren't a lot of great business people out there as DJs.
I'm not saying that they're bad business people. It's just that it's not as profitable.
Well, if you want to make money, there's better ways to do it.
Yeah,
if your goal is cash, there are a lot of different things you can do other than this, right?
Oh, for sure.
Like anything.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about the lifestyle. Because obviously being a mobile DJ or mobile / with doing some club stuff during the week, whatever it becomes, it's a different lifestyle than your typical 9 to 5 job.
Yeah. I think that you have to be a good fit for the lifestyle. My father used to think this was the best job for me because it was nights, and he knew that I hate getting up in the morning. It's, my dad was an early riser, and that was about the time I was going to bed is when he was getting up, just on a regular night. So, me being able to sleep until 4 in the afternoon, get up, get cleaned up, like I'm going to work, get in the car, go downtown, find my parking, go to the club, do a warm up workout for an hour and a half, have a little, something from the kitchen, and then, spend until 2 o'clock in the morning was perfect. Then I'm getting home at like 5 because I stay a little late, and maybe we go out and have some food afterwards. And it's just a lifestyle thing. I mean, when I was younger, and it hasn't changed that much in that regard. I'm still not much of a guy to get up in the morning most of the time. Sometimes my hours get all screwed up, and when they do, I'm up at about a normal person time, and I'm in bed about a normal person time, and I hate it because it's just not.
That's not what you signed up for.
It doesn't work out for what I signed up for here. No. So, some people get really frustrated and go to the doctor when their sleeping schedule gets off. Well, if mine goes off when I go to the doctor, they're going to think I'm insane for telling them I'm getting up at 7 o'clock and I'm going to bed at 11 at night. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. That's normal. Yeah, it's a lifestyle. There's that. There's the family thing too.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to work with every relationship. It can absolutely work, obviously. John's doing it. I'm doing it. I haven't always been successful with it. I don't know that I can blame the DJ lifestyle on relationships that I was in that didn't work, but yeah, not everyone's gonna want to be involved with somebody in that particular lifestyle. I tell you what, though, I mean, if I were to be, very candid about it, the key for me anyway, and I think you're in the same boat with this, John. I don't know Lori as well enough to make this assessment, but just kind of meeting her, I get this impression of her. She's kind of like Blanca in the regard that she's incredibly confident. Blanca's incredibly confident. If Blanca was insecure, this lifestyle wouldn't work.
Very true. Yeah.
I couldn't go out and do clubs or anything. She'd want to come and what were you doing? And constantly calling and checking in and texting, and that ain't Blanca. She's incredibly secure. She's not worried about, somebody coming in and stealing me away. It's not her thing. That, and, if you look at Blanca and look at me, she ain't worried about me going anywhere. Yeah.
And I think
I made a deal with the devil on that one, and she lost a bet. So, yeah. But, yeah. Jimmy says, yeah, he'd be a dead man. He probably would. Yeah. But she's not insecure like that. That's important to be with somebody who's down with it, because it's a lifestyle and a lifelong commitment.
Yeah, it really, really is. And I think that time commitment is one of the things that as the business grows, and Mario mentions up here about being been living off DJ for 12 years. Those first couple of years, while it seems like we were busy, it seems like I almost felt that early on that we almost had a better balance of play and social time outside of DJ. And as we get into it and we've been into business and we work things and you add things to it and you start to learn what you need to do to continue to grow, that you spend more and more time with it. And that time commitment eats up not only the evenings that you're performing, but other evenings or daytime or the times when you are sleeping and the family wants to do this or that, or your spouse says, hey, we should go to this picnic. And it's like, I just want to sleep. It was a long weekend type of thing.
Right.
Those time commitments, I think, is an area when we're in that honeymoon stage of being a DJ and I'm playing and people love my music and it's just, this is great. Woo, woo, that kind of thing. It's easy to overlook or underestimate how much of a struggle that time commitment and balancing that time is for most DJs.
It can be that way, and it's been that way. There's been weekends that have been torn up, and anniversaries that have been missed, and special dates. Well, why did you take a gig on that date? Like, well, it was money. We can go out to eat the next night, right? I will say that. Well, I guess when I mentioned I did the car business for a while, when Stevie was little, and I had her too. I was a single dad. There came a time when I was done with the car business. What I was doing with that 9 to 5 job was kind of a leftover idea from her mother. She wanted me to do that. I was a full-time DJ when we got together. She didn't like it. I went to the 9 to 5 world and pushed the DJ thing as a side gig. And I kept doing the day job thing until I decided this isn't for me anymore. And I started doing the DJ thing full time again. And when she was little, oh, it was wonderful. It allowed so much more time for me to spend with her, especially summers, when she wasn't in kindergarten or whatever. It gave me more time than I think, most parents had, which was cool.
And the flexibility is a huge thing for, as our kids have been in school. And I'm during the day, typically, unless it's a Friday and we're getting ready for Friday shows, during the day, if all of a sudden I get a call, it's, hey, Nicholas isn't feeling well. Can you come and Sure. I'll be there in 10 minutes. You can do that with that looser schedule.
Yeah. Sometimes you can. Sometimes you get in. I've gotten into these gigs before where my prep time on them is just absolutely insanity.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm working all week to get these timelines right. And I don't want to say scripts, but just get down what I need to say right. And, they expect a lot out of us. They didn't used to expect anything out of us. Now they expect the world out of us.
Yes, that has changed a lot.
I saw a post on social media today where somebody said, I work 80 hours a week, so I never have to work a 40-hour-a-week job.
Yeah. Wow, that's so true.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
It is.
Because in one breath, I'm telling you all this free time you can have, but in the next breath, I'm telling you it doesn't always work out that way. If I'm doing birthday parties for a month straight, I got nothing to do. That's easy. But if I'm, planning a wedding with a ceremony and a dinner and, the dancing portion of it with, a 12 couple wedding court, and I'm in multiple locations. I've got multiple setups. Yeah, you know what? I got a lot of prep that week. And I shouldn't. Because I've done this so many times. I should just know how to do it. But every party is that much different. Where you just, it throws me off enough where they insist on having this in a certain way. And you got to change everything. It's not like you've got this cool little plan on the shelf. It's not like you ever gone into like a subdivision where there's like 100 houses and they're all like identical. Like sometimes they're just maybe beige and sometimes they're green. Or
they've got to be. There's 3 approved colors for this subdivision. Go.
Yeah, but they're all pretty much the same house. Ka-chunk, ka-chunk, ka-chunk. What I do and what John does, it's more like going into an 100-year-old neighborhood where every house is like custom stick-built home. They're all houses, but they're all very different houses. Some are bigger, some are smaller, some are, in a style that's more Victorian. Some are more of in a style that's more Frank Lloyd Wright or Craftsman or Cottage or Cape Cod or whatever. That seems to be my life right now in my clientele. But it wasn't always like that. So it used to be a lot easier. With the custom stuff comes more money, but comes more work.
Yeah, there's a trade-off. The time.
There is.
Another reason why people got into this, and this was probably for a lot of us, this was kind of a big thing, and Bill Herman talked about this last night, is getting into the DJ thing because they like to go out and socialize, and instead of going to the bar and paying to drink, they could go and DJ and get their drinks, and they could go and pick up dates. It was part of the process, I think, for some people who got into this.
I guess that's a thing.
It wasn't how my path really to get into it per se, but that's out there, and well, we're not going to dig into that one too terribly much because I don't know
if I suppose it's out there, John, but that is just a bizarre concept to me. It's a foreign concept to me as well as it is you. right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm looking back to my club days when I was like, downtown a couple times a weekend. And I identified more as a club DJ who did mobile on the side,
Yeah.
The people who worked at the club, I'm talking about the bartenders, the cocktail waitresses, the people who worked the door, the people who worked the kitchen. They were all social. They all hung out, but nobody wanted to hang out with me. I was over here.
Hmm.
And the reason I was over here is because I didn't, shall we say, party.
Yep.
So because I didn't party, I wasn't cool. So yeah, being a part of all that is just foreign to, and I have no regrets. I never wanted to be involved with that. If I wanted to be involved with that, I could have obviously done it, but that was never anything that I was interested in, even as a young guy out there.
Yeah, it was.
So-
It was there. It was there. Jimmy, I think we finally hit on Jimmy's reason to get into DJ here.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with being. The only thing I can say is that once in a while at the club, once in a while, yeah, you met a girl. That was kind of nice, but it wasn't for drinking or anything like that, or that kind of partying with a group of people. That was never my motivation. So I can't even speak on it.
Yeah. Let's. We got a few more minutes here before we're going to wrap up, Brian. Let's talk about some of the when you're getting into the DJ thing, and maybe it's an initial fear of some aspects of it, or maybe it's one of those fears that develop over time that are involved with it. And I think one of the areas that DJs, when they're just starting out, that fear of the microphone and getting on a microphone and saying something so stupid that they're like, oh my gosh, I've ruined the whole thing. How would you, when it comes to people who are afraid of that microphone and saying the wrong thing, what advice would you give them?
It took me a while to get over it. I remember when I was doing skating rinks, at like 13, 14 years old, I was always trying to emulate the FM radio guy who was on Sunday nights. What was it called? The Quiet Storm? Did you ever get that where you were?
I've heard of it. I don't remember if you talked about it. Somebody talked
Hey,
about it.
everybody, we're about to play a song. That kind of vibe,
Mm-hmm.
That was the only thing I felt like I could do. I couldn't, speak for the diaphragm and, say, hey, what's going on? I couldn't do that. It took me time to develop that, I guess. And yeah, practice. Edit yourself. I had a hard time getting over the sound of my own voice. That was
Sure.
something that bothered me.
Yeah.
Did you had that too?
Oh, for sure. When we first started, my partner did all the microphone work. And technically, he had a worse voice than I did. But I didn't have to speak on the microphone, so I was good with that.
See, I hate my voice. I've never sang.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy. It took me a while to get over hearing it over the speakers. And you know when it got really bad? When I started YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to listen to myself on video. Oh, man. I almost stopped doing videos because of it. I hated it. I didn't like hearing it. You have to convince yourself that you actually sound like that too. Because you're saying to yourself, no, I don't sound like that. I'm like, it's exactly what you sound like, dude. What are you talking about? But when you're speaking, you sound different. And, than listening to yourself on a recording. So it's tough. It is tough.
I think there's some little things, as you mentioned, practice, whether that's practice. We've talked about this in other reading children's books is a great way to practice speaking on a microphone, to be able to go and have timing, pronunciation of words, especially if you're doing some Dr. Seuss. There are things you can do out there to practice that, to just get comfortable, and you hit the nail on the head, hearing your own voice. That's what freaks people out 9 times out of 10, is that they get up there and all of a sudden they're hearing their voice for the first time, and it's like, oh my God. pause.
Yeah, this is terrible. No, we're not doing this.
We're not going to talk much anymore.
But you might as well be naked.
Yeah,
in front
they
of
would.
strangers.
Sometimes they prefer to drop their pants and be naked than,
Right.
than to hear themselves. So,
Yeah.
um,
Go ahead. I'm sorry, John.
yeah. It's just let's. I want to make sure we hit the. And I think this is a fear that's going to even fit into DJs in 2021 is that fear that I've got a business, there's expenses in my business, and I need to make sales, and people don't like me. I'm not good enough. People don't like me. I'm just going to fail. That fear of failure from not being able to be successful making sales and being a business person. How do they get over that?
Well, you have to have some degree of confidence in what you do. Going back to the original question, though, and this kind of goes back to the original question, if you want to get into this, what, and my question is, what's your motive for getting into this? And the people who I think should be getting into this are the people who see DJs perform and think to themselves, you know what? And it's not the concept of I'm better than that or I could do that. It's the concept of, I think I have something unique that I could bring to the table with this.
Yes.
And if that's why you got into this, and you are indeed bringing that unique flavor to the table, then I don't believe that you're going to have the issue of I'm not good enough. I think that you should know, and you should have proven to yourself that this unique flavor that you brought is indeed valuable. And it is a commodity that not only people like, but people need and will appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
I also think it's important to understand that not every DJ is for every client. We're all a little different. I'm certainly not the DJ for absolutely anybody that reaches out to me. I'm not everything to everybody. I think anybody who's everything to everybody is pretty generic and boring. You've got to take some chances out there. Without great risk, you'll never have great reward. So you need to try things, and you need to be unique. And the confidence thing, boy, that's tough though when I think about it, because if you don't have that kind of confidence, are you sure you're doing the right thing?
Mm-hmm.
Is there something else that you should be doing? If you've got a lack of confidence as a DJ, maybe you're supposed to be a tech. Maybe you're supposed to be a photo booth operator. Maybe you're supposed to be an event planner. You understand that part of it, but there's something about it that you're not confident about. You should have complete confidence in what you do. It's like an actor. How many actors do you know that don't have confidence? Is there anybody you can think of?
Not that's actually out there making money. There's a lot
no one who's, or even doing plays.
Yeah, even some of the.
You have to have confidence to do this. You can question yourself. You can look back and you can not necessarily be happy with your work, and you can feel like that, maybe there's something else I should be doing here. Mm-hmm. Or you can hit those plateaus where you just saw this nice, even stream of I'm getting better. And then you hit this thing, you hit a rut, and you're playing the same songs at every event. And it's not really, you're not elevating anymore. And that can be depressing and disheartening, I guess.
Yep, certainly.
But yeah, to completely lose confidence to go out there and work, maybe this isn't your thing.
Yeah. I like what you said that, when a person can look at see a DJ in the club and say I can do that better, that I can bring a different flavor to that.
I think I've got some ideas.
Yeah.
I haven't thought of. And that was me. Mm-hmm. That was me when I was 13 years old. Because I'd go into the skating rink, and I'd hear Trinier and Dougie Fresh and Houdini and, Gap Band. It's like, okay, these little girls really like Wham. Why the hell aren't they playing any Wham? Okay, these little girls like Howard Jones and they like Duran Duran and they like these other things. They like Prince. They like Michael Jackson. Why isn't the CJ playing it? So when I got up there, I was doing not only the freestyle electro stuff they were doing, but I was doing the top 40 stuff and I was doing the metal stuff because that was big back then. And I was really doing this variety show. So if you came on a Friday night, which is my night, you heard 5 or 6 different styles of music that you never hear on a Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
So and you know, I'm sure that there were DJs and other skating rinks and other towns who did exactly what I was doing, or even more, you know, of a variety or a better selection than I was doing. But for what I had there in front of me, I felt like I was doing a better job than they were.
Right.
And then I would hear them say things on the microphone that drove me insane. And they were older than me, by the way. They were like 2 or 3 years older than I was, and they looked down on me as a little kid. I remember they used to get on the mic and say, all right, it's time for couple skate. If you're not skating with a couple, please clear the floor. Like, what do you mean if you're not skating with a couple? That would be like me skating with two people skating.
Otherwise, yeah, you're just kind of, excuse me, let me just jump in
Yeah,
here.
I want to join your couple. It's a throuple at that point. No, if you're not skating with a partner, please exit the floor or whatever.
Oh, you were grammar police at
That was the way to say it. So I was
13.
even hearing that kind of stuff back then, and it was just driving me crazy.
13 years old, and you were already the grammar police. That's pretty impressive.
I was 13 years old, and I was a girl. No, but it just didn't make sense. It was stupid. It really upset me. It's
And
like,
you
this
still, and
doesn't
you
sound
remember
right.
it all these years later. That's like, you know, almost 40 years later, and it still bothers you.
It's okay to sound stupid. It's probably bad to sound stupid over the mic. So if you're gonna broadcast whatever you say to a lot of people, make sure you're not saying it where it sounds stupid. Take your time on it.
Make a plan.
It was just one of those stupid things. So I really felt like I had something unique to bring that they weren't bringing. And again, I mean, it was relative because I'm sure there was somebody else out there, you know, who I wasn't hearing, who was just doing fantastic work. But what I was exposed to, I was weak.
Mm-hmm.
So I went in there and I thought, you know, I put a lot of thought into it. I knew what they played that I liked, but I knew there's a lot of stuff they were missing and a lot of stuff they were playing that I didn't like. It didn't feel like it was necessary, and did my own thing. And that's a real cool way to get into this.
Yeah.
It's a real cool reason to get into this.
I think so. That because that's a unique selling position right there. You'll be able to when you have that skill and that ability, you can do this unique thing. You can convey that unique thing to people who are looking to hire that unique skill set. It really makes the whole process. If you start from that point, it makes the whole thing come together a lot easier.
There's a whole bunch of Me Too DJs out there.
Oh, yes.
And, you know, it's like, well, you know, I'm doing everything that this guy's doing or this girl's doing, and I cost less. I'm a better value or whatever,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
It's me too. Oh, I do that too. Oh, I do that too. Exactly like that. They're copying each other. They're dressing the same. And I'm not trying to beat anybody up here, but they're going to the same seminars and reading the same scripts for some of these.
And not taking information, whether, you know, they watch a video that you've produced.
Right.
The idea behind it isn't to copy what you do. It's to be inspired and say, wow, I like what Brian did there. And now take it and make it your own.
Right. Yeah.
And
Don't be me. My God. No, I mean, I don't care if you do it, but that's kind of lame. Do your own thing. Take it and run with it and make it your own. Absolutely. It's about being creative. And to me, it is anyway. I mean, and like I said, I know I'm unique. I know I don't think like everybody else. But to me, this is about being creative. It's about bringing something to the table that's uniquely yours, and that people like. There's a lot of things we could do that you're uniquely us, but people wouldn't necessarily enjoy.
Yeah.
You know. So don't twist my words there. Something that's uniquely something's unique about you, but something that's uniquely appealing about you to others. Bring that to the table.
That would be important. So, Brian, we're going to wrap things up. We have gotten to the end of our show time tonight. Thank you for coming out and hanging out tonight.
Thank you. It's been a while, just the two of us.
Yes, it was good chat. We actually both got to talk.
Yeah. taking turns.
Imagine that. There was a conversation, a flow.
I almost feel like Dan Carpenter over here. It was pretty neat.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Pretty intense. And thank you guys. We had a great crowd. I think I saw there was 74 people with us tonight in the different channels. So
Nice.
thank you guys
Nice.
for being with this evening. And the questions, we hit most of those. So you guys have yourself a wonderful evening. Go to djntv.com/chill. The chill room is now open and you can go and hang out there. There was a nice crowd earlier, and I'm sure we'll have a good crowd here after the show is over. And then we will, MJ's tomorrow evening. You guys can check out, I think he's doing a Q&A this week. I don't remember exactly if it's this week or, but anyway, he'll be on with a music and mixing show tomorrow night. And then we'll be back next week and catch you guys then. Good night, everybody.
Thanks, John. Good night.